The other thing people keep talking about, in addition to inflation and stagflation, of course, is what on earth to do about China. There's been this dramatic shift in domestic policy and regulation, right, for the private sector, with seemingly huge implications for investors who have made so much money on the backs of billionaires like Jack Ma, for example. And then meantime, the United States is trying to squeeze, the Chinese by cutting off supplies of critical semiconductors and software. Is China a buy or a sell?
So China, by the way, China is incredibly interesting at this at this moment in time. So if you think about where they are, they had residential investment, depending on if you count just first order or first and second and third order, something around 10 to 29% of GDP. But they have a shrinking population. So that is definitively unsustainable growth. So if you think about what Xi is trying to do, he's trying to rebalance his economy. And by the way, in a way that I don't think you or I would argue is not smart, but the way he's going.
In fact, he's trying to do some of the same things that people here would like to do, but just find incredibly difficult because they're so, politically divisive.
By the way, 100%. I have no doubt that there's politicians around the world that are jealous about the degrees of freedom that Xi has. But I think that what's caught kind of Western investors by surprise is kind of the step function fashion he's doing it in, and the economic damage he's willing to tolerate to get from here to there. And as an investor, I think one of the things is, based on what's happened the past couple of months, it's pretty clear, every Chinese company is viewed to be a state-owned enterprise to one degree or another. The other thing I think from an investment perspective that's really interesting and that's gotten a lot of attention from Chairman Gensler and others is the VIE or shell company structure of Chinese companies that are listed here. And, I think that those companies will largely have to delist. And by the way, for a lot of them, there's a mechanism for them to just port to Hong Kong. But, for 20 years, Chinese tech companies having Western capital and a Western vested interest in their success very much suited China's goals. They don't need that anymore. So they can take their $700 billion and take it back onshore into Hong Kong. And I think that's what they're going to do. So when it comes to the U.S. Chinese listings, if I were investors, I'd be really careful here.